I've been having, like, I've been thinking a lot about my dad lately. I don't know why. Maybe because I really, really miss him. Um, so the people who know me, which a lot of you guys have known me since MySpace, know that I had a very abusive childhood. My dad was very abusive to me. But I grew up to understand the reason why. And it was never because he didn't love me. It was his way of protecting me. But I wanted to talk about the good things that I learned. And it's important that we recognize the good things we get from our parents. So my dad had a third grade education. And he came to the United States pretty much illegally. I say that because my grandmother, his mother, is an American Indian. Full-blooded, 100% American Indian. She was born by the Mississippi River. Anyway, so when he got here, he came here with a third grade education. And I think about me and my brothers because we're very hardworking, me and my 4 brothers. We are not your typical, just, not knowledgeable group of kids, even though we came from a very rough childhood. All of us own our own home, and we all bought our own homes in our 20s. One of my brothers has his house is already paid off. We are extremely hard workers. And I'm thinking, we came from a family of a father, third grade education, a mother, I think hers was 6th grade. And we all are pretty much middle class, one of us, 2 of us, upper middle class. Where do we get that from? And I look back at my dad's life and I think, gosh, in Detroit, my dad owned the house that we lived in. But he also bought the 4-plex apartment complex next door to us. My dad has been an investor and entrepreneur without us even realizing what it really was at that time. And then he ended up moving us to San Antonio when I was about 13 years old. And he had to experience extreme being poor again, because up north you have unions, so they paid him a lot of money then, and then moved to San Antonio, and we were dirt poor here, like really, really poor. And within a year, paying $4.25 an hour, raising 5 kids, my dad bought a house. It was a 1-bedroom house, but he bought a house on 2 acres by Lytle, Texas, and he ended up building like 5 bedrooms on that house. The reason why me and my brothers are the way we are is because my dad has always been an entrepreneur without us even knowing what it was. And we always knew the value of owning our own home because of my dad. So, some of us may have been through a hard time as children, but we have to remember where we came from and why we got where we were at. So that cut off, but I'm going to finish this. So we got to remember where we came from. We got to remember that we didn't just become the people that we are. Even though we may have come from an extremely abusive environment when we were younger, there's some things that we take from that create the person that we are. So I may have suffered as a child, but I had a great relationship with my father as an adult. And it took me understanding his childhood to understand why I went the way I went. It's a process. The older we get, the more we understand our parents and the things we went through. And you have to come to peace with some of the facts that our parents may have been rough on us because of things that happened to them. And you have to break that generational abusive problems. Like with my kids, I never really spanked them like the way I was spanked. We have to change it. I communicate very well. Yeah, we have bumps in the head because I raised my children to be very strong. So when you raise your children very strong, you cannot be upset when they come back at you and have an argument with you because they're stubborn on their ways. That's the way you raise them. But I can tell you about my dad more things. Why are we so knowledgeable? I can tell you my dad would make us spend time, pick up the paper, and make us read the paper to him. He wanted us to read the paper to him every day. Like, we had to read the paper. That was important to him, for us to read the paper and know what was going on. When we first moved to San Antonio, we didn't have any TV or anything. I remember us playing that show that we used to watch when we were younger. It's a judge show. It had a judge. I cannot remember it right now, but we would pretend to be the judge, and they have 2 plaintiffs, and we would do things like that. But it was always something that kept us learning. He made us watch like the Animal Channel. We had to watch about animals, and you know, that helped us learn about how to live in the wild, in the world. You know, everybody has to fend for themselves. Everybody has to survive in this world. So watching the Animal Channel actually helps you understand that it's the survival of the fittest in this world. So for a man that someone would look at and think, oh, he's just a Mexican from Mexico. If you really take the time to get to know someone, you would understand they have a lot more value and intelligence than you would think just by the way they're dressed. You know, I had to learn how to dress as an adult because my parents couldn't teach me. They didn't know any better. I mean, it really bothers me when people judge other people from poor areas when they don't know any better. You look at them and you think, oh, they're dressed ghetto. That's all they know. Who are you to judge them? They don't know the difference. I do get emotional about that subject because I've seen people being picked on because of the way they're dressed, and I'm thinking, gosh, I remember when I first left my house, I really didn't know like how to dress and stuff, and I bet you people that were up here were looking at me and thinking things about me that probably weren't true. So I'm going to end it with this. I am grateful for my father. I am grateful for the abuse I went through, and I'm grateful for the fact that I forgave him in health, when he was healthy and happy, not when he was ill and he passed away. I didn't have a chance to say I was grateful. I had to understand where he came from, and I am the person that I am because of him. I am the person that I am because of my mother and because of my father, and I am very proud to be their daughter.